big to do. Make sure you've got a pen and something to write with. And in big letters, write this down. My story isn't about me, it's about my audience. I'm going to give you an example. Online, you see so many experts or wannabe experts telling their story. It's all about them. Notice they'll say, I helped X amount of people today, or I achieved this, or I struggled so hard and I made it through. Well, that makes them interesting. But does it make them someone you want to work with? Probably not. A real expert uses their story in the first person like salt and pepper in a stew. I know, I've built multiple large audiences online in the last decade. So, how did I do it? Well, I spoke to my audience their story. I knew what their frustrations were intimately well, and it wasn't always what you thought. Even if it was a business audience, I might have talked about holiday stress. Even if it was a business audience, I might have talked about having to be the mom taxi. Even if it was a business audience, I used my sense of humor because I knew that my audience has one. When you understand your audience, you tell their story, and you do it in the second person. I'm going to give you a very specific example personally. So here are two versions of my story if I were choosing to work with young mothers of young children who have found themselves single and having to reinvent themselves. First version. In 1998, my marriage had become untenable. I was living in the Middle East, and my late ex-husband was going downhill fast, drinking and sadly with substance abuse. I was going to lose my children because he was going to take them back to his country, and I didn't have a visa anymore. I had one choice: stay and lose my kids, or get them out and get home. Now, I spent all of my money getting out of the country we were in with a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. It took 48 hours to get home, and I couldn't breathe until I got there. When I got home, I had $50 in my pocket and no idea of what I was going to do. And I had to start from the bottom up and reinvent myself. So, great. That's a story. And it's a true story. It's a pretty easy one for me to tell, but it makes me interesting. It doesn't make me an expert that can show you how to do it. It just says, hey, I had this experience, look at me. Now, if I were to tell that story because I wanted to work with women with young children who were reinventing themselves, I'd tell it this way. Okay, it happened. You left. Your head's spinning. You're wondering what you're going to do next. You don't have 2 pennies to rub together. And the kids, they're confused. You have a lot of late nights and you're wondering what to do next. I know, I've been there. Let me help you. I've got a step-by-step reinvent yourself program. It's free for the first 3 months. I'm going to help you find the job you want, not the job you have to take. I'm going to help you earn money so that you can be independent, never reliant on someone else again, and get your life started. If you feel like you can go further after that 3 months, that's great. I'll have a program ready for the next step. I'm Laurie Wheeler, and I know how hard it is to struggle with young children. I'm here for you. Notice which one made me someone you want to work with. Now, you may not be that audience and it may not appeal to you, but notice the difference in the energy. It could be so much as transitioning careers. It could be cooking. You know, I love to cook pretzels. I love to cook cupcakes. Is not as powerful as, can you imagine baking the perfect cupcake? You see, that speaks to your audience. It is so important when you're delivering information, whether it's in writing, on video, in audio, on your blogs, your Facebook pages, your tweets, that you are connecting to your audience. So repeat after me. My story isn't about me, it's about my audience. Okay, so how do you do that? Well, one of the things I do with all of my students is I help them craft this. So you do have a fascinating story, but it may not be what it takes to connect the dots to have people ready to buy your products when you're ready to launch. So what we do is we take those posts that you're putting up and we start thinking, how will this help other people? What will resonate? So if you're working with people who are struggling in their businesses, you don't want to write about your own struggles. You just don't. You want to keep that off your Facebook page. You want to not crow about your successes, but show example of the results you give your clients. That's the story. Because you're showing the results. And if you don't know the results of what you have to offer yet, that's okay. That's what our coach consultants are for. That's what our instructors are for. We help you understand these things. Now, if you're a little farther ahead in your phase work, I want you to think about this. You know who you're working with, right? We've done who in our phase work. So, what's their sense of humor? What kind of jokes could you tell? What would people find funny in that industry? Everybody has a knowledge. My son opened a gaming magazine. He and I play video games. That's one of our pastimes. And he saw a cartoon of a little grave with it says player number 1 or character number 1 died jumping. And he goes, "That's you, Mom." That resonated with that audience. And yes, if I play video games, often I fall off a cliff. So it was funny. It resonated with us in that marketplace. What's funny to your audience? What's important to your audience? What is the information you're looking for? If you notice, all of the great experts out there online, the ones that are really making money, give you exactly the same thing in their free offer that they do in their 25,000 high offer. There's no difference. I know because I've had to work with people who spent a lot of money with those people to help repair some of the damage that they've done. So I know exactly what's in some of those programs. You want to tell the story authentically. Okay, so it is just you speaking as you. Being shy isn't going to help. You've got to give your observations. You've got to offer assistance. Give some steps. Give something. When Mike says, give your value, that's what he's talking about. So let's say you're teaching people how to bake healthy food. Maybe it's gluten-free. Give away some recipes. Give away some recipes. And then ask people to share photographs of their version of your recipe. That's engagement. It's organic. Compliment them. Commiserate with them if the batch didn't turn out and they're wondering what they did wrong, because that's where you can offer a class. You see, when we build an organic audience, it's an organic conversation. It's social skills, because all business is social. So you're going to use the second person. Remember, my story is about my audience. It's not about me. It's knowing what I'm bringing them to. Even if you don't have a product or service done yet, you can still build the relationships with the people you want to work with. Now, question. I can hear it. I can hear it. What if I build an audience and I change my mind later on? Can I still use that audience? Yes. Yes, my first internet business is completely different to what I'm doing now. There's a little bit of crossover, but I use the numbers from the one audience to boost my credibility as I re-message. And funny enough, the ones that aren't interested, they drop off, and I attracted the people I want. This is what I'm going to teach you in Unit 2, how to strategize on a timeline of how to post, okay, what kinds of posts to make on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Pinterest, or any other social media venue. So in Unit 2, you're going to learn to identify where on social media you need to be, and that means you need to be, not where I tell you to be, and then what to post and how to post so you get the best results. I'm Laurie Wheeler, a faculty member here at the School of Online Business, and I am glad to help you in telling your story. If you have questions or you feel you need a little bit extra help, feel free to schedule a session with me in the master's program offer on the Coaching Cognition platform.